When people discuss the greatest multiplayer video game consoles of all time, you often hear about the N64, the GameCube, the Xbox. Very seldom do you hear about the PlayStation 2. But with the Multitap, you can turn the PS2 into a multiplayer gaming machine. What are we drinking today?
Today we're drinking Raspberry Milk Stout by Left Hand Brewing Company. It's a milk stout brewed with raspberries.
Alright, you know the drill. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and ring that bell icon so you never miss an upload. And sit back, relax, pour yourself a beer if you care to, and let's talk about one of the greatest accessories on the PlayStation 2.
I'm WWE Hall of Famer Hacksaw Jim Duggan, and I want you to check out Gaming Off the Grid, tough guy.
What a bold move it was for Sony to release the PS2 with only 2 controller ports.
Yeah, because Xbox had 4, GameCube had 4, they were 4-player consoles.
And the preceding generation, that 4-player model it was kind of a staple in living rooms with the 64, and then the Dreamcast came out with 4 controller ports, and then they came out and launched with 2. It was a very unique thing.
But what did they do to adapt and change and get to 4-player? Multitap, ever heard of it?
Tick-tock, tick-tock. The reason we wanted to talk about this is the PS2, I don't think, has gone down in history as being like this great multiplayer console, but it really is. And if you have this bad boy, there are so many great party games, 4-player games, etc. that you can play.
There's so many games now. I honestly didn't know there was that many before we started doing research, and I was like, holy crap. This competes with the 4-player staple consoles.
I think this is a thing, it's been a big piece in my life. This is actually the second one that I owned. The first one of these that was released, I believe, had a higher profile than this one. This one is more the same height as the Slim.
Yeah.
And I had one of these. My friend Ryan, who's been on the channel before, he had one. Like everybody that I knew, for whatever reason, we were all about playing games together. So we had this thing. And then as I've gotten older, I don't see a lot of people talk about it. I don't think a lot of people still have them. I don't think they still use them.
No, they don't, and they're not that expensive. We did a whole episode on the buying guide, but let's just jump in. There's a ton of them, so we're probably gonna miss a lot of them.
Oh yeah.
But let's just jump in. Let's talk about first-person shooters, because those are fun, great multiplayer games. And the one that comes to my mind off the top is Red Faction 2. That game is a great multiplayer. We did a Let's Play early on the channel with the multitap. Then there's Time Splitters. There's the James Bond games. Not all the James Bond games are multitap accessible, but Nightfire and From Russia with Love are great 4-player shooters. It's so much fun.
And I think it's a really fun genre to talk about because at this time everybody was playing Halo on the Xbox. And you know, at the time I was younger when the PS2 came out. I was still I'd pick my console and I'd drive my stake into the ground. The PS2 and Xbox sucks and all that. Now I play everything. But at the time, when I found Red Faction 2, I was like, this is all I need. Yeah. This is my Halo.
Better than Halo.
And you know, Red Faction 2 was on, I believe, Xbox and the GameCube, but for whatever reason, I gravitated towards it on the PS2. And Time Splitters, amazing multiplayer game.
So much fun.
I think we owned it on GameCube, but regardless, it's awesome. Nightfire's a multi-console game as well.
But yeah, I just had it for the PS2, and it's so much freaking fun.
Yeah, they're a blast. And I think a lot of people skipped out on that genre, at least from like a 4-player standpoint, on the PS2 because they were busy playing that Xbox.
Yeah, we get it. Now let's move on to sports. There's so many sports games out there. A lot of them, you know, people play sports games nowadays just by themselves in the living room online. But a lot of them on the PS2, I know they were on multiple consoles, but they were up to 4 players, and some of them even more than 4 players, and we will get into that.
Yeah, so some of the games, like Madden, for instance, I believe was 1 to 8 players.
So you would have 2 multiplayer, which is insane. And then Fire Pro Wrestling Returns, that's 1 to 8 players. And then what's really weird is the SmackDown games are 1 to 6 players.
Yeah, you know, you think about how much fun that would be if we fired up the PlayStation 2 right now. 4 of our buddies on one team and 4 of us on the other.
Oh, dude,
it would be so fun.
It would be chaotic. It would be just the best. And GameCube, can you do 8 players?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, you can system link.
Yeah.
But yeah,
you get. I get what you're saying. And golf games.
Oh, hands down. So there's Hot Shots, there's Tiger Woods. We talk about how much fun those are. You can use one controller if you want and pass the controller, but it's kind of nice. Everyone has their own controller and, you know, in front of them.
You know, I think it's, you know, a good point I think to bring up on the controllers. I think just the barrier of entry for this is a multiplayer console. is so much lower than the GameCube, for instance. So the GameCube, a lot of people think, oh man, I want to play all these 4-player games. The controllers are super expensive, a lot of the games are super expensive, where the PS2,
everything.
A lot of these games we're talking about here, they fly way under the radar because I just don't think a lot of people remember it as that 4-player.
No, they don't. And then,
console.
you know, obviously the arcade sports games, you got NBA and NFL Street.
Yep.
Those are up to 4 players on the PS2. 2v2. That's freaking awesome.
Yeah, and you know, it's not really you know, a sports game. Well, it kind of is, I guess, like the ATV Off-Road Fury games.
Oh, those games are a blast.
Yeah, some of the racing games like Simpsons Hit and Run.
Need for Speed Underground is a great one. Twisted Metal Black is up to 4 players. But one thing I do want to say is Twisted Metal Head On is not.
Yeah.
You gotta be careful. You gotta look at the back of the box. It's weird how one of them is and one of them isn't.
Yeah, but that game's chaotic 4-player. I mean, the Twisted Metal series, we've talked about it some, but probably not as much as we should because it's such a fun series. But,
and PlayStation 5, bring it back, please.
Let's get us some Twisted Metal. What? This was the first time I remember playing some 4-player like beat 'em ups, like Ultimate Alliance was on this.
4-player like work together game. Ultimate Alliance, you got X-Men Legends, Teen Titans, which is really cool because there's 4 teens and you can be Titans together.
And I think, I could be wrong, I don't know if it's 4-player or not, but I'm pretty sure it is, that Ninja Turtles beat 'em up that we beat on the GameCube.
Oh.
I believe that's on the PS2.
Yeah.
You are technically correct.
Gauntlet, you got Dark Legacy and 7 Sorrows.
Yeah.
The Gauntlet games are badass. They're kind of more dungeon crawler RPG-esque, but it's still
Yeah,
the
but they're still
4-player.
kind of hack and slash. And those games, those are fun ones to talk. We could probably do a full episode on those. Dark Legacy, I think, is more of like your traditional Gauntlet game.
Yeah.
7 Sorrows is very much more low barrier of entry. It's more arcade. It's just simple. Still fun 4-player.
Yeah, it's really
but
fun.
they're just, you know, if you're looking for more of that Gauntlet experience, Dark Legacy is the way you want to go. If you just want to just hack and slash and beat the hell out of things, 7 Sorrows. Ratchet and Clank, 4-player, up your arsenal is fun.
Oh yeah,
It's just a third-person shooter.
And then there's Deadlocked. Yeah, it's basically just a versus mode, but it's still a blast, and it's in that Ratchet and Clank style. You know, it's really fun.
It's really cool. I just think an accessory that not enough people talk about that I think is a must-own. It's like a $10 deal. You gotta have this.
Yeah, and especially if you want to play some of these games, you have to have 2 of them, which is just, that's so cool. I did not know you could do up to 8 players on one console.
Yeah,
that's a fun fact.
It is, and I don't think I've ever done that.
No, and I want to.
Now that you had mentioned it, I remember seeing that on the back of the box back in the day and being like, that would be really fun. Just never pulled it off. Now you got to get 8 people together.
That would be so crazy to do 4v4 in Madden or something. That'd be nuts.
That'd be a great time. It would be awesome. And you know, I think you did bring up a little bit ago Fire Pro being 8, but SmackDown only being 6. I could be wrong, but I think those SmackDown games you could only ever have a maximum of 6 players on the screen.
Oh, really?
It wouldn't I don't know that it could handle more than that.
I know Fire Pro, there's a lot more things to do to get into the game. Like the controls are a lot tougher than the SmackDown games.
But it's lower res graphics.
Yes,
it's kind of more of, it almost is like a 16-bit style.
It is.
Yeah,
and even like the modern versions of that game still are that way.
Yep. So anyways, let's talk about the beer and then wrap things up. What do you think? This raspberry milk stout
by Left Hand Brewing Company. This is a really good milk stout, but it's simple. Like the raspberry flavor is really good. It's a really good, easy drinker. But it's just simple and it's not thick. It's a thinner beer, but it has good flavor.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I'm enjoying it. It's not overly complex. It's not overly complicated. It is what it says it is. It's a good milk stout. You can taste the raspberry. Left Hand Brewing knows what they're doing. This is definitely not like a, you know, world-class milk stout or anything like that. I've had better ones. But I like it. I would buy it again.
The raspberry flavor is super enjoyable.
Yeah.
We've actually had this with cigars, and it's really good with like the raspberry flavor. And I think this is a beer that if you're not a huge fan of stouts or darker beers and you want to get into them, this would be a good stepping stone because it's not as heavy.
Yeah.
You know?
And this was, I believe, gifted to us by Captain Algebra.
Yes,
so,
man. Captain's hooking us up.
Yeah, man. I think in the year of the 20th birthday of this console, folks, if you see one of these laying around, this is the holy grail. It can take that PS2 to that next level. We love the GameCube and we love the Xbox, but do not sleep on the power of the PS2 as a multiplayer console. It's amazing.
It's so much fun, and I'm so excited to now go back and play those 8-player multi-tap games. I know we only mentioned 2 of them, but I'm excited to play some Madden in 2020.
Happy birthday, little feller. We love you. We always appreciate you tuning in and subscribing to the channel. Get some friends together, plug in your Multitap, and get after it. We will see you next time, right here on Gaming Off the Grid.
Checkity check, check, check.
When people, but very seldom do you hear about the PlayStation 2. Welcome. Welcome.
Welcome, little buddy.
Very seldom do you hear people talk about the PS2. Folks, you need to get an, I was going to say network adapter.
It's called a Multitap.
Shut. When people discuss the best multiplayer video game consoles of all times, when people discuss the